Hello, welcome to Convex, where we are celebrating experiment-driven marketing. I am Varun Grover, and I work as a technical support engineer at VWO. You have broken funnels? Don't worry about that. Try VWO. Today, we have with us Alan Clement, who is a partner at Revealed, and he's also an author of a renowned book called When Coffee and Kale Compete. And I'm really excited to have you, Alan, with us.
Great, thanks for having me. I'm really excited to talk today.
Really, it's a pleasure to have you. Also, before Alan starts his presentation, I would just like to mention that you can join Convex's official group on LinkedIn. And if you have any questions related to this particular presentation, you can go ahead and ask the question on the group. And with that, Alan, the stage is all yours.
Okay, great. So today, I'm going to talk about a new topic that I've been working on for a while. And so I'm very excited about sharing this with you all today. So today's topic is kind of digging deeper into understanding what's valuable to consumers and understanding about what they're really paying for and searching for when they're out there shopping for new products and services. And I want to illustrate how when you speak and kind of acknowledge the different types of value that consumers want, your conversion rates will go up. You'll get more people coming to your product, first of all. And of course, secondly, you'll know actually how to best optimize and develop your product. So that's today's topic. It's attracting customers by speaking to what they really value. So I'll begin with why should we care, right? Why should you consider even thinking about spending the time of digging deeper into what consumers really value? So I'll start with this claim, which is I believe that the era of easy wins is over. And I'll explain that with an example. So this is, if you all remember, right, depending on your age, I certainly remember this. This is what Gmail looked like when it first launched back in 2004. The story of Gmail is, the short version is it took about 12, ended up at the end being about 12 engineers and took 3 or 4 years to develop. And when it launched, here's what it looked like. And if you were around at the time, you probably were using Hotmail or some other similar service. And if you also were around that time, you remember kind of the killer feature, right, of Gmail that blew everyone away. And it's actually here on the screen somewhere if you know where it is. But if you don't, I'll point it out right here. It's that down there. Basically, Gmail distinguished itself from the competition and pulled itself away from the competition by offering 1 gigabyte of storage. Now that seems kind of laughable. But at the time, that was a substantial competitive advantage, right? That was a differentiator in the market at a tremendous scale. I think the most other email accounts at the time were offering 50 or even 100 megabytes. So that's how Gmail separated from the pack, how it attracted customers, and really ended up being a crucial part of dominating the market. So the point with this was that really what happened is Gmail kind of won by focusing on functionality, right? Better functionality. So very product focused, very much focused on more functionality associated with the product. But today, functionality like that can be easily replicated, right? So those, especially those with you with an engineering background and kind of myself too, at the time I recall making Gmail from the ground up is a serious effort. Whereas today, one person could replicate the 2004 version of Gmail in probably maybe 6 to 8 months, right? Because you have services like Amazon Web Services, much more advanced JavaScript frameworks and web development frameworks that make all that guesswork of the old way disappear. So the idea now that you can just rely on more functionality of your product, adding more features, is not a great competitive advantage because it can be copied really easily, because delivering products has gotten so much better. So what's the solution to this, right? How do we kind of escape this or get around it? And that's kind of the topic of today. Is I believe that we need to become better at understanding demand. Now, what I mean by that is all aspects of demand. What demand looks like, how it's generated, how consumers react when they have experience or they have demand for a product or service, how that demand grows, how it dissipates or shrinks or goes away. So I think that we have to escape of just being focused on functional needs of consumers and really dig deeper into actually the value and understand the dynamics of demand. So what's blocking us, right, from making this progress? Well, over the years, as I've been working with numerous companies and teams and individuals to get better at understanding demand, I have observed various diseases and biases that hold everyone, including myself, that hold us back from understanding demand and knowing what to do about it. So today, I kind of want to reveal disease number 4, I call it. And it's this, right? It's reducing what customers want to just a list of needs. And in doing so, you ignore the different types of value that consumers will pay for. So what do I mean by all that? Well, let's make this tangible, right? So I'll give an example of a company that I had worked with recently called Model Basics. And here is their story. So Model Basics began with this woman, Emily. Historically, she was a model herself. And she observed, a need in the market, right? Which would be underwear for models when they are either on photo shoots or doing runway shows, right? There was a need there. She analyzed it based upon her experience, right? And then offered a product into the market and started a business called Model Basics. So the original kind of concept and imagery associated with her company and the product, as you can see here, was there's 2 important things I want to point out here. First, it was featuring women who kind of fit the typical model look, right? So like a size 8 woman. And if you look at the photography, it's very much focused on the product, right? It's showing the product without really any context other than some woman gazing out the window in a kind of very aspirational or forlorn way, right? So that was kind of version 1 of the product. And again, the website material was very much focused on illustrating the product itself and kind of the functionality of that product, right? So that was, you come to the website and this is the kind of stuff you see. So what did Model Basics want to do? Well, they wanted to grow like every other organization. They want to attract more customers, right? But they also want to make sure that they're understanding demand correctly in the market, right? That they understand it, they know how it's generated, what that demand looks like, and kind of why a product like their own would be hired to meet that demand. So they did some research, and the findings are actually pretty extensive, but I'm going to limit it to just a few points here. So key insight number 1 was most women buying from Model Basics actually weren't models. That was first insight. Second one, here is over 50% of customers who had purchased products from Model Basics actually were anticipating some event coming up, right? Usually like some formal event or a wedding, something of that nature, where they kind of explain that, well, for this future event coming up, a regular bra isn't going to work for me. And so, in a kind of, as we mentioned here, some examples of the maybe I'm wearing some sort of backless dress, or perhaps I'm going to be wearing a wedding dress with that's maybe a lot of lace in the front and the back. And in these circumstances, a regular bra won't work for me. Third key insight is over 88% of consumers, which is overwhelming, right? We're coming to here, right? Really, they have this goal in mind of, yeah, I want the bra and, you know, all the functionality associated with it. But really, this is really more about me kind of being able to confidently wear clothes that kind of reveal my back and shoulders. So it was really less about the bra, but more about being able to wear new types of clothes, which historically they could not do. And the last two insights I want to point out here are about 50% of consumers had expressed a worry about the adhesive bra not sticking, right, and being reliable while wearing. So again, very functional. And then the other, also, they expressed a concern about the fit. So that's basically matching the body size and the body content with what the bra can actually support. So there's a lot of stuff in there, but I kind of want to help you organize all those insights to actually two types of goals. And this is really what we're getting to the point of this presentation, is highlighting the two different types of value that consumers are searching for or appreciate in a product. You kind of can split them up into two sections, right? One is, kind of we heard before, things like will it stick on reliably? Will it be a correct fit? There were concerns about, well, will the color of the bra match the rest of my outfit? So that's kind of one bucket of value that consumers were concerned about. But then the other one was, of course, what I mentioned before as well. You know, they actually want to start wearing a new type of wardrobe, right? I actually want to reveal my back more, or I want to start wearing clothes that have a lot of lace. So it's the stuff around kind of changing or expanding my wardrobe options. So I like to categorize these goals into two buckets. One bucket is, I call it usage goals, and the other bucket are called change goals. I call it change goals. Now, if you want to do more research into this, these are based upon models. So if you go up and research psychology of goals, for example, you won't find usage goals and change goals, but you'll find what are called outcome goals, not usage goals and change goals. I call these usage goals and change goals because that just makes it more relevant to you all, an audience like yourself. Right? You're not academic psychologists studying, you know, the broad category of goals. You're looking at goals within the context of markets and buying and selling products and product design. So I separate these into two categories, usage goals and change goals. And to give you a little more kind of understanding of characteristics of each, look at it this way. So usage goals are associated with the product use. So basically, think about like when I'm using the product or when I'm using it, I want to make sure that the color is not in dissonance, right, with the rest of what I'm wearing, right? So all these kind of goals that they have when using the product. The other characteristic of usage goals are they're frequently repeated, right? And they have a distinct start and stop, right? So and that's kind of where that when clause kind of helps us understand the context, right? So it's like when I'm wearing a wedding dress, or when I'm at a cocktail party and, you know, wearing a halter top, right? Something of that nature, right? It's very distinct. The goal is only relevant in the context of the product. And of course, the last point is the goal itself is only relevant when actively engaged. So I kind of have this visual here, like think of it as kind of very defined start and stop. It executes, and then the goal is no longer relevant to me until it gets activated again. And it's going to probably be activated the next time I use the product or similar product. So now, change goals. Change goals, again, also known as process goals, actually are describing how the consumer changes as a result of adopting the product. So again, it's, the old me in this context of model basics is, well, the old me is, well, my wardrobe options are this big, right? But the new me actually has expanded my wardrobe options, and now I can wear all different kinds of clothes that maybe I couldn't wear before, right? So I can wear clothes that reveal my back, right? I can wear lace tops, right? Or I can get that wedding dress that maybe historically I would have avoided because, I was concerned about the color or the fit and so on and so forth. So I can do things that I couldn't do before. The other characteristic of change goals is there's no distinct start and stopping here. Right? Again, you're changing the consumer's life situation in some way. Right? There is no distinct, on Monday, I don't wear clothes that certain types of clothes, and then Tuesday I can, and then Wednesday I don't wear certain clothes again, and Thursday I can. It's not working that way. It's basically once you make that change, it's this process, it's this, and then I guess the next point, it's always on, it's always active. Oh, and I guess the other point too, which is maybe I should add in here, is that it's actually outside of the product, right? So wearing a new wardrobe is actually a goal that expands and exists outside of just the product usage itself. So again, some examples of the usage goals. Will it stick reliably? Is the fit going to be correct? Will the color match? Whereas the change goals examples, right, different types of value we're seeing here are I can start wearing clothes that reveal my back. And I can wear clothes that have a lot of lace, for example, or a lot of transparency in it. So through understanding these two types of value that consumers are willing to pay for and are kind of curious about and want, how did model basics change? Well, first, pretty substantial pivot to the business model, right? And even adopting a new product name or a new company name. So the old way is model basics, where the reason d'etre of it is welcome to Model Basics. We provide quality, essential, basic underwear designed specifically for fashion professionals, right? So that's what business that they were in. But with this new insights, actually we recognized not only a different market, but a much more massive market, right? Which is thinking of their company as being Backless Basics itself. And their business is providing quality, essential, basic underwear designed to inspire confidence, right? So that was really a substantial change in the business. So their market went from, this big, okay, just models who might be attracted to this kind of situation to potentially every woman out there, right? So some more tangible changes that they made. Well, probably one of the most visible or easily changes was visually in the website, the content they used to promote the product. So again, the old way is a size 8 woman, and the photography was all very product focused, right? So you always saw a picture of the woman wearing the the bra or the underwear, and you could tell exactly kind of how the product fit and how it fit in, and you could see exactly everything. Whereas the new way is actually, and you can see, if you notice, what's interesting, they don't even show the product. First of all, like notice that. You don't see the product at all in the new photography. That's probably the one obvious change. So they changed it, right, from showing the product to actually showing the consumer in the future because of the product, right? So now you are wearing that wedding dress you always wanted to wear. Or now you're going to these parties and wearing these standout outfits that you couldn't wear before. That's probably the first obvious change. And the second change is they wanted to show that it's not just for one particular body shape, that it's really for kind of all body shapes, right? So they moved from a size 8 woman to a size 14 and 16 woman. So again, the other things that they're doing here, so now this is from a product design point of view. By kind of thinking about the two different types of value, right? Usage goals and then change goals, that actually help them think about how to design their product differently and how to optimize differently their product. So they kind of came up with, like, say, 3 variations, right? You've got the lace bra, right, which is more geared towards special events like a wedding, or maybe even wanting to wear that particular top like that. Or there's the nighttime halter top, right, scenario, where it's probably more of a formal gown. Or the other, the kind of the tight and kind of fitting version of the product. So these are actually 3 different products that they have here, but all for different situations, right, around kind of these different change goals that these kind of consumers are striving for. So that was made changes. So they've changed some of the promotional material, right? How do we, position the product? How do we advertise the product and get people's attention? How do we design the product, right? So now we're seeing kind of the first one's very much focused on change goals, changes to the product or around usage goals, right? Because, if I'm just maybe, if I'm using the product on a wedding day scenario or using it for transparency or lace, then things about color of the product would be more important to me, right? So that goal of, will it match the rest of what I'm wearing, that goal is more relevant than, if I'm wearing perhaps a casual black t-shirt or something that's going to be over that, or like a tight fitting top, where the color is not so much important, right, as in a particular fit, because it's going to be very form-fitting, right? Next is, of course, how their advertising channels, right, and how they promoted it in their advertising. So, again, they changed it, and kind of pretty obvious here. Speaking to, you can wear, right there, right, wear your dream dress with confidence, right? You can now start wearing types of a wedding dress that maybe previously you would have ignored or kind of thought wouldn't be possible. And of course, the other advertising here is basically home of the backless bra, right? Really just emphasizing that this is what business model basics is in. And of course, changes to the home site, right? Where, emphasizing, different types of bras for different situations, right? And as opposed to, again, focusing on models who kind of want to use it when they're on a fashion shoot or doing a runway show. So the numbers, well, the first month that they launched, here is the numbers that this company reported, was, first off, was a decrease in the bounce rate from, it's pretty substantial, 88.5% down to 51%. It's just a massive reduction in the bounce rate, right? Because now they know how to target more effectively. So they make sure that they know that they're targeting the right people, and that their message is actually kind of align the product and how it's advertised and promoted on the website is actually very much aligned with how they're kind of advertising on, in their advertising material. So, you can look at the numbers deeper yourself, but basically everything goes up, right? There's better conversions, bounce rate goes down, more engagement, so on and so forth. So that's, really kind of the point here I want to make here is there's actually multiple types of value, right, that consumers experience. I didn't go into all of them, but I just focused on 2, which is the usage goals and the change goals. And I really would encourage all of you to think about your service within that context, right? As it will guide both marketing, not both, all marketing, strategy, product, design, how you look at markets and competition, how you define potential consumers and shoppers, how do you appeal those shoppers, just the whole spectrum. These 2 types of value will help inform everyone in those roles. So, of course, the next thing is, well, how do we get started? Well, the first thing I want to say is, of course, I think you really need to identify and keep separate usage data from the change data. Right? You want to physically keep them separate. Physically, your data collection methods. You just don't want to commingle those, right? But also conceptually, right? So, you can, so like for example, sometimes with customers or clients, right? We might run a survey that will include, that will gather data around change goals and also usage goals. But then once we, spit that out in our analytics, we actually separate those and we keep it separate. We show the relationship, but we don't commingle all those together. We keep it separate because they're different models, right, of value to consumers. So just first thing you do is recognize that there is a difference conceptually, and that when you go about searching and organizing those data and communicating them, make sure that you keep it separately also. Next thing is when you go about gathering these data, you actually gather them differently, right? Now you can use some of the same methods. You can do consumer interviews, diary studies, surveys. What else can you do? Contextual inquiries, which is a little different, like shop alongs. I mean, there's all different kinds of methods of consumer research that you can do. But when you're doing those types of research, your questions are going to be different depending on the type of data you want to gather. So for example, when you want to gather usage goals, right, value on the usage, you want to ask them questions like, well, what's good or bad about using this product? Which, I'll give you another little hint. That question by itself might be difficult, right? Start with that question, but then also what kind of helps consumers elaborate on that is you say, well, what's good and bad about product X compared to product Y, right? And what's even better is when you actually ask that question across product categories. So very briefly, so if I want to investigate people who are taking energy drinks to help them, be pumped up and energized and motivated to work out at the gym, I'd say, okay, well, what's good and bad about Red Bull compared to Monster, whatever they're drinking? You can ask that, right? So you kind of comparison between the same product category, but then also look outside the product category. Like, well, what's good or bad about using Red Bull as opposed to using a personal trainer to help you get excited or motivated at the gym? Or what's good or bad about Red Bull when compared to listening to music, right? Having your headphones and just listening to just really energizing music. What's good and bad about each of those? So that's usage goals. That's a certain type of value that you want to kind of capture and model that. But the other type of the change goals, when you're investigating that phenomenon and that value, the questions are a little different. You want to, as it denotes, you want to investigate the change that the consumer is aiming to make or has made as a result of adopting the product. And a really great question to kind of ask, either to ask directly to consumers or to kind of keep in your head when you're investigating is, well, since you adopted this product, what can you do now that you couldn't do before? So it's again like what changed for you as a result of adopting this product? Which in the case of model basics, or now backlist basics, would be, well, now I can wear clothes I couldn't wear before, right? I can go to those cocktail parties and wear certain types of dresses I couldn't wear before. Or now I can wear tight-fitting, stretchy clothes and not have all these visible lines everywhere, or not have the straps, in the front of the back, and so on and so forth. Or I can get that wedding dress that maybe before I couldn't wear, or maybe would avoid wearing because I was concerned about, what's going to show and what isn't. So focus on the change the consumer was hoping to make as a result of adopting the product. And again, similar to how in the first scenario you were comparing products, right? Well, what's the difference between Red Bull and using Red Bull to get energized at the gym and using a personal trainer, or using listening to music to be pumped up at the gym? What's good and bad about those? Compare and contrast the old consumer with the new one. Like, okay, well, before you adopted something like VWO, right, to optimize your conversion rates and so on and so forth, how were things before that? right? What was it like not having that technology, right? And they'll say things like, well, we just didn't know, how to attract for consumers. We were just making guesses about what to sell. We were having internal debates about how to change the website. Whereas now that we've got something like VWO, we don't have those debates anymore, right? When marketing or a designer comes up and says, hey, I think we need to feature product X, there's no longer this argument around, well, I think we shouldn't do that, or yes or no. I think we should show the black one or the red one. The answer is not, well, let's test it. And the numbers will tell us what to do. So again, comparing, contrasting, old me versus new me. And the last kind of thing to think about is think about targeting shoppers differently. So again, when you're doing your research, investigate really what motivates consumers to begin the shopping process, right? Is it because they, had some breaking point with their old technology? Like, oh, I just can't, and I'll use the bra example, right? Oh, it just, it's always, maybe they have another type of backless bra, right? Well, it doesn't stick right. Or it doesn't fit me, right, correctly. Or, oh, it doesn't have the right color for me because, I want to wear a white top and they only have beige and black. So maybe that in them triggers a shopping process. So now they're shopping for a solution and they're using their usage goals or their usage value as a criteria for adopting a new product. Or is it, are they investigating some change goals, right? It's like, oh, wow, I was getting ready, I decided I was going to get married, and I went to the store to pick out a new wedding dress, and I saw these amazing dresses, but they all had lace, white lace everywhere. And I only have, black bras with straps. And I really wanted to wear it, but I couldn't. So, what can I do? So maybe that triggers in them the shopping process. In that case, a change goal is going to be more attractive to them. So, again, the particular strategy you pursue, I think, is contingent on what your research reveals. But, again, think about, are you going to put all your eggs in one basket? Maybe we'll just have one message. We're going to lead with the change goal, but then, argue why our product with the usage goals. Or maybe you have different landing pages, right? Depending on different Google searches or different advertising campaigns that you run, they come to your product in a different way. And the copy of your website reflects that, or the imagery that they see reflects that. It's really up to you to figure out what the data are telling you. But again, think about, what's triggering the shopping process and what types of value that consumers are searching for and what types of value will attract them to adopt your product. So thank you very much. Had a lot of fun. This was a new thing I've started sharing out, a new talk actually. And this idea of innovation diseases is a new topic that I'm investigating and sharing. I have a whole list of innovation diseases. So if you think that you found an innovation disease and you want me to kind of investigate it, share that with me on Twitter or shoot me an email. Or if you want to see more of these, follow me on Twitter and say, hey, Al, I'm curious about these other innovation diseases. Share those with me. Or if you want to have particular questions on this innovation disease, or want some help guidance, you can contact me through Twitter or through the website.
Thank you so much, Alan. That was really insightful, and especially the fact that I captured from that presentation was that you can actually decrease your bounce rate even without changing your product. So that is really what excited me there. Without changing the product, you can increase your engagement with the users and actually change their behavior on the website. So that is one takeaway that I think our viewers can also take with them. And all right, so I have a few questions to ask from you. So if I think about which value should I lead with? So do you think I should go ahead with usage goals or should I go ahead with change goals?
Yeah, I alluded that question or alluded that answer towards the end there. Again, I think it depends on what the data tell you, right? Do some research on your own. And of course, tools like VWO are really great ways to figure that out also, in a kind of more passive way also. But as a general rule, I like to kind of lead with the change goals, and then kind of secondary to that, kind of describe the usage goal. Leading with the change goal really sets the stage of kind of why your product. And then when you talk about usage goals, you can talk about them in the context of how it helps them achieve the change goals.
Right. Right, that definitely makes sense, Al. And I also had one question there. For example, if somebody is trying out in a different industry altogether, for example, they are not on the e-commerce and all that. So, is there any industry that you think should not be user-centric and more be centric towards the product itself? For example, in the presentation you shared that the product that is there, they presented it in a different way. They modeled as backless from the model's basics. So do you think there is any industry which could still keep focusing on the product rather than what the demand is from the users?
Oh, yeah. Of course, that was, I think in that scenario, it worked for them, because I think basically bras they've been around for, 75 years, 50 years, more than 50 years, 100 years, whatever it is. They've been around for a long time. So everyone knows what a bra is. And women, so this is actually interesting. It's important to know about what your consumers' experience is in the product category. So like, for example, and I use the bra as an example, women searching for a bra have used bras before. They've probably been using it for years and years and years, so they know everything about the bra. So you don't need to focus so much on what it looks like and things of that nature, because, or like talk about all the features of it, because they get it, right? It's a very mature product category. The consumers have a lot of experience with it, so that kind of stuff is not so relevant. You can focus more on the change goals and maybe not even worry so much about showing the product itself. Like that happens a lot in like beverage commercials or like food commercials. Everyone knows what Coca-Cola is. Like you don't need to have an ad about like, oh, it's sugary and caffeine and refreshing and sweet and here's what it looks like. Everyone knows what Coke is, right? So you don't have to spend so much time on that. So the times that you would, again, highlight the product itself or the technology is when I would say you're offering something new, right? Again, maybe Gmail is a good example, right? People were really attracted to the usage goal of that, and their innovation really was around the usage of it. So they wanted to highlight that, which I think is a great way to attract them. Or if you have a lot of consumers coming to your product or entering the market for the first time. So like if you went back maybe 5 years ago, or like 10 years ago when Salesforce started, you look back at how they promoted Salesforce. Like, well, they kind of had to explain like, well, here's actually how a CRM works, right? Here's what a CRM is, and here's how it works, and here's what it does for you. But as the product category has matured, and basically, pretty much everyone in the business is using some sort of CRM, you don't need to go down the laundry list of explaining what a CRM is. You can kind of focus more on your differentiating features, but also how you change as a result of adopting your particular CRM.
Right. Thank you for that elaborate answer, Alan. Another question that I have here is, for example, what is the one emotion, thing, or thought that sways away a consumer from evaluating a product?
I think, really, I think probably one of the biggest kind of motivators of change are things associated with kind of anxiety or having control over things. So I think if you highlight, be aware of that, both when consumers are coming to your product, that a lot of times, especially like in a software or technology environment, they're coming to your product because they're under some stress or there's some anxiety going on. There's a time pressure, they need to make a change really fast. And so, they're because of that, their criteria of thinking about your product or evaluating it is going to be different. Like, for example, actually this happened to me recently. So I recently adopted, so I started using Pipedrive, right, to help me kind of manage sales deals. And really why I did that was because I had a lot of, deals getting processed all at once, and, things were falling through the crack, or, pressure, deals are not being followed up as frequently as I would like. So me as a shopper, as a converter, I was under a lot of pressure of, oh my gosh, I need to fix this now. And so when I was onboarding or going through the onboarding process, I'm thinking in my mind, okay, great, you're showing me all these things, but I've got 10 deals to process right now. So help me get my pipeline going right now. Help me convert over right now. And if the product I was looking at didn't get me up and running ASAP, I was going to abandon it and switch to something else. Like, don't show me a tour about, I don't know, some other, showing progress reports on your deals. That's great, but right now, like, I got to get control my deals right now. So I think taking that anxiety in that scenario, focusing on that emotion of really what's bringing them to your product will help you kind of figure out both, how to promote the product, but also how to onboard them correctly, or make it more sticky, or help them, choose your product in the moment.
Yeah, I think I can track back to the slide that you shared where you were talking about targeting different users differently based on what their requirement is. So yeah, I think I can track it back to that slide. So this next question is, in your book, When Coffee and Kale Compete, you mentioned a very important line: all jobs are emotional. Yeah. So would you like to elaborate on that?
Yeah. So as we investigate, so basically, the central question, the research question of jobs to be done is what causes consumers to adopt a product, and how does that behavior define and create markets? And so while investigating that behavior, we learned that consumers were kind of evaluating very different functions, product functions, as competitors to each other. I think, like one good example is investigation around, products that people hire to help them be energized or motivated to go to the gym and exercise. The product function ranges from energy drinks to listening to music, either like an ear pod or AirPods or whatever, to working out with a buddy, to hiring a personal trainer. I mean, these are vastly different product functions. But the only thing that kind of ties them together or kind of makes sense to us in investigating into what consumers really want is recognizing that, they want this feeling of being energized or excited while being at the gym. So it's actually, they evaluate success through this feeling, this emotion of how I want to feel in the future. And so that's really kind of the job to be done, is help me, go from feeling, depressed or tired, unmotivated, to being motivated and excited about pursuing my fitness.
All right. Yeah, that really is an awesome answer there. So what books are you currently reading?
So actually, I don't read many books so much anymore, so much as I read like research. I just picked up the Handbook of Consumer Psychology, which is, it's huge, but you don't read the whole thing. This is maybe like 30 studies in here and experiments. And so, you read this one, and then, you read that one, and you look at these models, and, you kind of see what is and isn't relevant. That's it. That's another one. Another one I'm reading is this one guy's research on max diff. I can't remember the researcher's name, but I'm really interested in how max diff, it's a type of survey that you can run, how that works. And I like it because it forces consumers into a choice to make it some trade-off, and it represents my experience of how consumers make choices. It's basically what's most important to you and what's least important to you. it's not this Likert scale of, on a scale of 0 to 10, how likely are you to recommend this product? It's, well, what's most important to you and what's least important to you. And that represents more kind of how consumers think. We just kind of round things up and down. And then maybe from like a kind of entertainment point of view, I'm rereading some other books. I'm rereading Dante's Inferno. It's a great piece. And I'm also rereading Machiavelli's Discourses on Livy. So it's just kind of theory of republic. So that's what I read.
All right, that's a lot of books for someone who says that it doesn't read a lot of books. Okay, and one last question, and then we'll let you off. So, how can the audience connect with you if they would like to get in touch with you?
Yeah, probably the easiest is Twitter. But if you're not on that, go to the Revealed website, or you can just AlanClement.com is one way. Although I'll be updating that eventually, but that's it. Or go to the Revealed website. We have like a form you can fill out there, and just be like, hey, I just want to talk with you, and then I'll come into my team and I'll get that. So Twitter, personal website, and then email me through that, or come to the company's website, Revealed, and contact me through there.
All right. Thank you so much for your time, Alan. It was a really insightful presentation, and we enjoyed the whole time with you. Thank you so much.
Yep. Thank you so much.